Hello everybody, long time no see. I wanted to do this video because this is something that I'm quite passionate about and it just irks me. It truly does. As somebody who is interested in true crime and has been interested for ever since I was a child, to see people have zero regard of respect for victims and the story period, it needs to be talked about. In my opinion, the romanticization of serial killers has gone way too far, especially in this day and age of social media, where there can be fan pages and edits and like just people having freedom of speech, especially on Twitter and TikTok. It infuriates me and it's completely disgusting and disrespectful. The line has been crossed way too many times, and to the point where there is no line at this point. There's no line. So that's what this video is going to be about. And even though I have a script, I'm really just going to be, it's going to be like a rant, sort of, you know? Okay, the camera's better now. The first thing I'm going to talk about, what made me want to make this video is the release of Monsters Season 2 with the Menendez brothers by Ryan Murphy. I don't like him at all. I don't. I forgot to mention my reasoning for not liking him was because when he was coming out with Dahmer, he says that he reached out to 20 of the victims' families and not a single person responded. Yet he still took it upon himself to think it was okay to make a show. So for those of you that haven't watched it, which I mean, if you haven't, where have you been? Because since it came out, it's just been everywhere on social media. But basically, season 2 of Monsters follows the story of the Menendez brothers and how they murdered their parents, Jose and Katie Menendez. And if you don't know the backstory on that, I'm gonna brief you on that event. On August 20th in 1983, Jose and Katie Menendez were shot to death in their homes by their two sons, Lyle and Eric. And after a while of investigating, the police, they built up enough evidence to arrest the brothers. And after nearly 7 years, 3 trials, and a whole bunch of TV coverage, they found them guilty and they were sentenced to life in prison without parole. During the trial, the brothers spoke about the sexual abuse that they endured by the hands of their father, and with that being out, it sort of split the public that was following this case. Some people believing them and having sympathy, while the other side just diminishing their names further and ridiculing them and for the things that they believed were lies. And now that we have the short summary of that over, let's get into what I'm going to be talking about. So my problem with the show is the it's like a characterization, and there's a lot of fabrication that went on in the show. I say characterization because I think, okay, let me just say this. I am anti-true crime shows, anti-true crime movies, movies like Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, My Friend Dom. I'm just like, I am totally against it, including shows like this, because in my opinion, TV and film were made solely for entertainment. No matter what the topic is, it's really hard for the writer and the director, unless they do a really, really, really good job, it's really hard to make a show or movie about something, no matter how serious it is, and to not end up glamorizing it. And this is what happened with Euphoria, the first season, with the drug use. And it got a lot of backlash because people were saying that the writers and the directors sort of glamorized drug use with teenagers, and then they had to take a step back, and then the second season and third season they did a better job. But to be honest, that's why I'm totally against anything with true crime being turned into a show or a movie. So some of the things I didn't like about the show, from the opening scene, I was like, oh, I know how this is gonna go. Even though we don't know the Menendez brothers personally, I feel like the way that Lyle was portrayed was a bit of a caricature, it's just, it gave very television series jock rich kid that's a douchebag, do whatever you want, and like I said, we don't know them in real life, so we don't know how their actual personalities were but it gave very caricature energy, especially with the fabrications of the incestuous relationship that Ryan Murphy put into the show with Eric and Lyle. Also, the false portrayal of Eric's sexuality. Once again, we don't know them personally, but that's not out in the public. So for him to just take that into his own hands and think that he can put that in there, it's very controversial. My other problem about this is the way the media, the way the public took this in. Now I'm talking about social media in particular. There's edits. Along with edits, there's something else that just didn't sit right with me, and it's this video.
I feel for you. Nothing could make me change my point of view.
Ding, 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 ding. Perfect example of glamorization and romanticization. Why do you feel comfortable with making a video like that? Saying that's how watching something that really happened, that's how that made you feel? I started seeing these edits, and I'm gonna show them to you.
Hey, Mafia, after what we've been through, I'd like to see you try.
That ass perfect, baby. My love. We couldn't stop up nothing. I don't think you can.
He said, don't fuck with that anymore.
I really hate when I see edits, especially when with the context of what the character or who the actor is playing. I feel like it's very disrespectful whether the person is innocent or not. You know, no matter how attractive the actor is, I don't feel like it gives anybody the authority to make an edit about them. It doesn't sit well with me, and to be honest, that may be pretty controversial because people are like, oh, well, it's just an actor and it's not the actual person, yet I think we forget that they are portraying an actual person with events that actually happened, and it's just completely disrespectful. Like, you know, it doesn't matter what side you're on with the Menendez case, whether you think that the brothers are innocent, whether you think that they deserve the time in prison that they are serving. It is disrespectful not only to the victims, but it's like you're sort of downplaying whatever happened. It's like we're dealing with real things here and real lives that were taken, and people, no matter what you think, they are still people that are murderers. They still murdered their parents. It's a certain line that shouldn't be crossed. I do think that the actors that played Eric and Lyle, they did a great job. I've never seen them act personally before, but after this, you know, I feel like it would have been a good show if it was for entertainment purposes. Say this is somebody's idea and they just came up with it and it was a show, you know, for entertainment purposes. With the information, with the knowledge that we all know that this actually took place, it just completely like diminishes the story. I feel like it's just completely disrespect every which way to everybody that's involved. Since we're on the topic of Ryan Murphy, I do want to talk about Monsters season 1, which showcased Dahmer, and Evan Peters played him. And do you know where this is going? You might be. A lot of people find Evan Peters attractive, and that too led to immense disrespect when it came to the victims and the family's victims and just the real story in general. I vividly remember Twitter during the release of Dahmer when it came out, and the things that people were saying that how, oh, if they were alive when Dahmer was alive, he would have been able to get them, saying that they would let him kill and eat them, saying a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of sexual things, a whole bunch of things that's just completely disrespectful when you know this is what really happened. This is a real thing. This isn't a TV show. And even if it was a TV show, it would have been equally disgusting. Let's also not forget the people that dressed up as him for Halloween. So this is something that really happened and real people were affected, and the fact that there are people who don't even have like the brain capacity to really have that sort of empathy and sensitivity for what you're taking in, for what you're watching, it's just completely disgusting. And it surprised me. I didn't know that people were like that, and I thought people had more morals. And it angered me so much when it first came out, and I saw how people were acting on Twitter. Thankfully, though, during this time, there were people on Twitter that were calling out people that were making comments like that simply because Evan Peters was playing him. One tweet specifically that I remember was this girl that said, despite how, this isn't verbatim, despite how attractive, you may find an actor, no matter how attractive Evan Peters might be to you, please remember that this is a real person that he's portraying, and that this person that he is portraying did horrible things to to minors. But of course, this isn't anything new, because the same thing happened when Ross Lynch played Dahmer in My Friend Dahmer, and when Zac Efron played Bundy in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. I'm gonna say it again, this is exactly why I am totally against making movies and TV shows about serial killers. People have celebrity crushes. Your celebrity crush plays a bad guy, and it turns into this big thing, and there's edits, and there's sexual comments, and there's just comments that shouldn't be made. And I feel like, again, people forget what they're watching, and they forget that this is real people that this happened to, and that this is a real person. While doing research on this, I stumbled upon an article on capitalfm.com, and a quote from this article stuck out to me, and it says, "Evan plays the character in a way that does not humanize or sympathize with the real figure." Exactly. And with actors, it is hard not to add that, I don't know the word for it, but film was made to be romanticized and glamorized, and unless you do a really good job at writing, and you have an idea, a really straightforward set idea of how you want your actor to play this person, there's gonna be some backlash. One portrayal of a serial killer that I do appreciate meaning I feel like they did a good job, was Ed Kemper in Mindhunter. I feel like there was just a certain energy that the actor came with, and I don't know if it's because he didn't have that much of a role, like that big of a role, a lot of screen time in Mindhunter to actually develop that form of glamorization, or for people to romanticize it, or maybe it's just a matter of physical attraction, who knows. Another movie I can think of is Monster. I forgot the actress's name, but this movie, physical attraction does have to do with it, and that's not me saying that the actors that played Ed Kemper and that played, I forgot her name, in Monster, not saying that they're conventionally unattractive, but to make the people look like who they actually look like, and to mirror their actions. I can't use that claim when it comes to serial killers like Bundy, because even during his trial in the late 1970s, there were girls that were there, and I'm just gonna show you the clip.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, he's gonna get me next,
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, I get very scared. I shut my door and lock him,
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. You try to imagine yourself in his place and to see how he's feeling, looking at the pillows with blood stains and everything, and if he really did it or not.
Oh yeah, and here's an edit of Bundy. Yeah, that just made me ask the question, why do people romanticize serial killers? And I think that's been a question since forever. It's nothing new, crazily enough. Back to the Menendez brothers, since we're talking about finding serial killers or murderers attractive or romanticizing them, there are actual edits, not only of the actors, but of the actual brothers in court. You can look them up, but this is one.
I just hope she don't wanna leave.
And more recently, you've probably heard of him, if you have TikTok, the tattoo face killer, Wade Wilson. And for those of you who don't know what he did, I'm not going to go in depth, but a little summary. He was convicted on 6 charges, including 2 accounts of first-degree murder for the brutal murders in 2019 of 2 women in Cape Coral. And there's edits about him, like this.
It's all in these. They know I'm a big.
Completely sick. And there are young girls on TikTok saying how attractive he is, and like, you know, it's sort of just like justifying it. It's crazy, and it's just like an endless cycle, and I hope that one day we'll be able to get out of it. And I know this video was sort of a rant. I have a script, you know, I have it here, but that was really just so I stay on certain points. This video is way shorter than I thought it would be because of the script, so be thankful, because we would have been here for hours. I don't know what it is, you know, if it's a mental thing. I mean, if you guys want a video on me diving into the psyche of people, why they find people like this attractive, or why they can justify it, then sure, maybe I'll do it if I have the wherewithal. This is just something I'm really passionate about, and it just baffles me how people have a lack of respect when it comes to victims' real lives that have been affected by horrible, disgusting people, and simply because they're played by somebody that's attractive, all morals and all regards of human life is out the window. Because one of your celebrity crushes is playing a serial killer, all of a sudden you'd want to be in the shoes of a victim. Like that. Anyways, that's the video, and as you can see, I'm drained from talking about this. I was drained when I did the research, and when I had to look up all those edits, and when I had to see how people are talking about these horrible people. Thank you for watching. Do come back. And I'm going to start being more consistent with my video posting, but anyways, ta-ta. And thank you so much for 19 subscribers.